We really have to be careful that we're not deceived in these last days. So, as the enemy is coming forth and telling everyone in plain sight who he is, it's up to you to have the discernment and do your study on him and see who he really is and how deceiving and deceptive he is. And if you know who he is, you look around and you see how many people don't know who he is. He's in plain sight. People don't believe that he exists. People do believe that he exists, but he's good, or he's just like some other angels that were fallen, but they're good. And we all know the enemy can transform himself into an angel of light. That's why in the end times, when the son of perdition arrives on the scene, he's going to show lying signs and wonders and deceptiveness to people of power and fire falling from the sky. People are going to fall for it. Well, I want to get into why a lot of people in the last days will be deceived. Lots of them. It doesn't, by all races and nationalities, because what the enemy is doing right now, he's really letting you guys know, like, hey, this is me. No one can touch me. No one can come do anything to me unless it's going to be the one that's going to come down and deal with the one that has been deceiving the whole world. So when you hear people in other beliefs, belief systems, and what they call a religion, but is really evil practices or occult knowledge or forbidden knowledge that people have that is not of God, when you have people saying how, you know, the number 666 equates to sun gods. I'm just listening. I don't know anything about this practice. I just been hearing what it was been going viral, how it's related to certain gods and the melanin skin tone of black people, and that's the number pattern on the chart or geometry or science or numbers of things. When you hear talk like that, you, as a believer and as a child of God and a person who knows the truth, start to wake up and start to understand what is to come. When this son of perdition, this is why in these last days and as it gets worse, and the doors close before the destruction really suddenly happens, when people say peace, because things are going chaotic and crashing down right now, God's children will have their seal. They will have their seal because the things that's going to be unleashed upon this world that will affect many people in spiritual ways and natural ways. Diseases is going to be hell unleashed on earth. And the evil powers that be, this is what we wrestle against. This is what the Bible talks about. What we wrestle against. The spirit, spiritually, we have to know. Only God. He's the only powerful one that I know. Anyways, when you hear talk like this, you better know what side you're on and have made a choice by then. Because just know that if you haven't made a choice already and you choose to make a decision when these things are implemented and come out for you to make a decision, to make a choice and be stamped and take the mark of evil, you're not going anywhere. There's some people that have already been deceived right now with the enemy's stamp and mark and seed implanted in them. And they don't belong to God anymore. They're the enemy's children. They've been deployed out into the world. They are deceivers and lying spirits and devils who are manipulating people and trying to grab innocent souls and people who are ignorant and lurk out and prey on chosen people and people of light and the simple-minded one who don't know. And that is ignorance. We can't be ignorant of Satan's devices. Just know that when you get deep into darkness and into the occult and into the enemy's stuff, that's what it comes down to. He puts his hooks in you until he consumes you like a snake until he crushes you, and you're dead. You're dead. And I'm saying that like in a spiritual sense. You are like as if you belong to him. You don't belong to God anymore. So just know, if you take that mark, you ain't going anywhere. I don't know what dimension people been talking about. They've been going to space, and probably that's about it. I don't know what consciousness and this consciousness talk, and people been talking about other dimensions. You're not going to heaven. That's the only dimension and realm you ain't going to, because it's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and that heaven going to pass away, and there's going to be a new earth. And all evil will go underground and banished into hell. Just know that if you take the mark of evil, you ain't going nowhere. I guarantee you, you ain't going to be raptured out of here. Your soul is lost. You're just living to be damned. You're the walking damned. Which is why I always in my other videos, I put that as a great reference. And that's why you see the exposures of when it comes to vampires and being infected and can't change back. And you just have to be killed. You're just the walking damned. That's what you are. That's what you're when you that's why I said it's similar to a person who sells their soul or that gets into the cult or witchcraft. That's literally like taking the mark of the beast. The only difference is that might be a possible chance of you getting out of those, but taking the mark, there's no more chance. There's no more chance, and that's why I equate that's turning into a vampire. Metaphorically speaking, because when you turn to a vampire, you're all monstrous. You're damned. You're one of them, and the humans in the world want to kill you. You're cursed, and you want to take life and suck it and taint it and murder it, like your father, the snake, the enemy, the devil. And so, if you take that mark, you're no longer God's. And the end times are going to be really crucial, and this is why people are going to be thrown into jail for telling the truth, going against that. Some Christians, people who refuse to bow down to this beast system, but a lot of people, majority of people who possibly your friends, your family, who don't believe in the God that you believe in, whether you made a choice or not, or you believe in the faith or not, or you're walking in the straight or narrow or not, they may disagree or they may agree, but they just don't want to do it. Well, this is why there's a separation. There's things for people who are awakening to the truth. There are shakings happening and separations, and people think that's a bad thing sometimes, like the separation thing, and why people aren't getting along in their families. God is taking you somewhere. Anybody know if you're on some type of spiritual journey, sometimes you got to go along. Everybody can't come with you. You know what I'm saying? So you can't know when you go and deal with whatever master you serve, what no one else can know but the both of you. Just know, back to the point, that there's only two sides. There's literally only two. And this is why when you hear about New Age, it's okay. Everybody's God is included. It's going to be a one world. It's going to be a one world religion. One where everybody's just filthiness. Just combine that in one, and we're all going to be good and live on some utopia land and be gods. And that's they tell you this subliminally in movies. They tell you guys the stuff. And if you're just distracted by entertainment and not really knowing the truth or have real knowledge and discern about what's going on, that's what they're telling you. This is nothing new under the sun. This is nothing new by any means. Nothing new. Just know God loves all. He created all man, all human. There's a lot of things that are coming out. Some people in this world do not belong to God. They are the children of the enemy, whether they be human or not. That's why, and a lot of this stuff is going to be exposed in the last time. Who people who aren't humans are, people who have the serpent seed. I really do believe in my personal opinion, that's who the son of perdition, the Antichrist. He's going to be from one of those type of bloodlines, ancient, who's been around, who live underground, who's not human. We hear a lot of this conspiracy when it comes to the royal family in certain parts of Europe, and it could be anywhere. I feel like anybody who's a part of a cult, or that's why y'all hearing all this stuff about people who are on the side of darkness that serve other gods and deities. Evil is good to them. Being your own God, talking about aliens and all this stuff that I mentioned in the beginning of my video, all that is going to become one big old utopia get together. Like if you get stamped by evil, you are to me, in my head, you're no longer human. You are no longer yourself. You do not belong to God. You have somebody else's thoughts in your head. That's why it says in the Bible, I think we really need to understand that when you receive the mark, it's either going to be in your hand or your forehead, what you do and how you think. That's why you hear all this talk about people talking about subconsciousness and the mind and all of this and the power and moving stuff with their hands, what type of abilities, reading certain books. That stuff is evil. People are literally going to hell for that. And they think they're living blessed every day and feeling good, sitting in the sun and worshiping rocks and hugging trees is going to lead them straight to a burning pit. And that is what the world don't want to hear anyone say what's coming out of my mouth. They will hate me. They will hate a lot of people who stand up for God and say that stuff is wrong, how I'm just spinning it right now to y'all. It is the truth, because I know what is coming. And people worrying about what's going on in government politics and what's going to come in 2030 and all these distractions. Stay distracted if you want, but you need to know the signs of the time and what's coming. The evolution of this new stuff that's coming out, new AI stuff, new devices, it's in front of our faces. And when it's not talked about anymore, it's brushed under the rug. And then we'll look back at it years later and be like, oh, that's when they told us that. And it's like, well, remember when they did that last week? These are the times that are approaching. And it's going to be horrible. And it's going to be like in the days of Noah, how people was just living regular, doing what they're doing. It's describing a point where people was just, we hear that saying like they were giving into marriage and getting married and all of that. But people are going to be doing what they're doing right now. The people who are just, it's billions of people in this world. The people who just sit at home, the people who are partying, the people who do what they're supposed to do, go to work every day. It's going to be, and the world getting darker and darker and eviler and just chaotic and bad and good and evil is becoming good. It's still going to get worse. However, life still is going to go on. But that's how it's going to be when the sudden destruction and chaos and things hit all at once. We think we can keep up by by watching TikTok and YouTube. It's the news, the people who run the news stations, the airwaves, they won't even be able to keep up because we know a lot of them lie. They don't even want to report on some of the judgments that are literally happening right now in Europe, or the judgments we know that are literally going to come up on certain people, if you know what I mean. I'm not being discriminatory, but and other prophecies to be fulfilled about the prophecy people, children of God, like black people, who they are. All of this is coming out. All of this is coming out. And as the truth come forward, there's a shaking in the spiritual realm. Evil starts to manifest, and that's why you see crimes and all types of not good stuff everywhere. That when you see that manifesting in the natural and certain talks and chaos and drama on online or in your neighborhood or wherever, that means there's a shaking. Sometimes you know that what I'm talking about. If you're a person that's Christian, that means there's something in the spirit is shaking. Especially if you have people of light that are on the side of light who are praying and doing what they're supposed to do, because that's our job. We're supposed to pray for protection, pray for our nation, pray for our enemies, pray for other people, and and pray for ourselves too. That's what we're supposed to do. We engage, fighting in spiritual warfare. We come boldly before the throne. We want the enemy to be weakened. We don't expose him. He needs to be. Hey. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about when it comes to engaging in spiritual warfare. It's not just, ain't just some like prayer. Sometimes, people of light, you got to engage. It's a fight. Even people on the other side know this, but there's no other power that is stronger than God, like by all means at all. He's the only reason why I breathe and I live and I go on and I am here today. Nothing else. Nobody else gets the credit. Not a tree, not a rock. Not people who were in my generation that passed. Absolutely not. God made life. He made man and woman. I have a mother and dad. That's why I'm here. God is good. And that's why I have life and I woke up this morning. So, these end times, as they approach, keep a watch out and know what's going on and what's to come. And you'll know when it really gets intense and you feel it. And then you'll know, hey, it's time to start preparing. God's going to warn his people. Hey, God is going to warn his people. He's not going to allow his people to be deceived, or that's why as they walk with the light right now, that's why they're going to be sealed. That's why they're going to be sealed as they keep continuing what they go through daily, every day. Whether they are, it doesn't matter. We go through things when it's going to be time. It's going to be a timeout. The coach, the referee is going to step in and say, that's enough. Enough is enough. That is it. That is it. And the end. The beginning of the end and of sorrows. So y'all stay prayed up and discerned.